sitting in our car.
Just for a change of scenery.
Just for a change of scenery, hence why the recording might sound a bit different.
Yeah, we didn't bring the handy Zoom.
No.
So we're back to old school, like the old days, episode 1 and 2, recording on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're listening to
Frank. No. Cut that out.
No. You're listening to Frank.
I'm really tired. I've had a really busy 2 weeks, okay?
And
Dark and creepy.
Dark and creepy things
With
Frank
and
Scout.
Yay.
I'm Scout.
I'm Frank.
You are Frank. Apologies for my coughing fits. I've been sick for about a month and still
I have
going.
some articles.
I can't understand.
I have some articles.
We have some articles, but we should thank our patrons.
Yes, sorry, I'm really not doing well tonight.
We're trying to stay awake like old people because I booked comedy tickets back in the middle of summer in January for April, and daylight savings has come and gone, and it got dark early, and now we're trying to stay awake till 9 something.
9:45. Who the fuck has a comedy thing at 9:45? Fucking comedians.
Yeah, the Fringe Wives Club do.
Yeah.
But they're great. So we're going to, in an attempt to stay awake, we've had dinner. We've got bubble tea.
Yes.
We're in our car, not going home because we know we'd get too comfortable and fall asleep and miss this show. So here we are, in the back streets of where we live, recording a podcast. In our car. And it's a bit of a cold night. Tell us a little bit first about the back streets of where we live.
So, this is something that I've come across numerous times. Where we live is kind of like a compound. So if anyone's ever lived, like, or gone through where we live or visited us, the streets are really windy. And it's like a rabbit warren. Unless you live in here, you don't really know where you are. And people commented on
Uber drivers get confused and lost. And how do I get out of here?
Yeah, and it's like almost like a pocket within Kensington of just like these really windy roads.
Listeners don't know where we live. They're gonna come kill us.
Oh my god!
If I get
millions
killed,
of houses.
make a podcast about
in
it.
the millions of houses. Yes, okay. In the millions of houses in Kensington, like
millions. Is there millions?
I don't know. Lots. Anyway,
that would shit me. No, sorry, we're just...
Why does it keep opening and closing?
There's an automatic person gate around where we're parked. I hope it's not detecting us and opening and closing.
It might be.
It's one of the back build. Like, we don't live in that building. That would suck.
Yeah. If you go up there, they have courtyards up there.
Oh, well, that's nice then.
Yeah.
Ours don't.
Anyway, so... The reason why it's like this little pocket of round, windy streets is because the entire area used to be a meat market, and it used to be connected to the local abattoir.
Yeah,
across the street from the fucking race course.
Was it? Yeah, so they had like livestock,
yeah,
and then people would literally come and pick their stock and kill it.
Yeah, pretty much. And like they had like sheep would be brought, like herded through these streets. And yeah, like if you look at very old Melways, it actually says
maps for those who don't know what a Melways is.
Like an old street directory.
Street directory, that's the word.
If you look at a very old street directory, you can actually see Kensington meat markets and abattoirs nearby. And like, because it's so close to the river as well, there used to be a whole bunch of train lines that used to deliver the livestock to the meat market.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there used to be lots of, like, South Kensington Station used to be a lot bigger, and they had a lot more train lines because it's so close to the ports.
And there used to be some weird little bridges that go near the river and stuff where you'd actually walk your livestock through. Yeah. It's quite interesting. So we are going to do some mini episodes.
Yeah.
With a little bit of a project I've got coming up, and I think we might have to include a bit about our local area. Well, we are going to do mostly Melbourne to start with, but doing a little bit even about our own backyards, so to speak.
Well, I suppose the only bits that a lot of the place where we are now is really developed. Like the houses that you see in this pocket are quite new. They're not old.
They're within the last 15 years.
Yeah, so if you look outside the pocket, though, there are some brickwork that has been maintained. The old the Kensington High School has got a lot of its stuff has been maintained. If you see any of the cobblestone streets,
what used to be in where the high school
is? I think maybe that's the abattoir?
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway,
we'll get to that.
Sure. I'll have to do some more research.
Yes, in our very near future i.e. in the next month when my project is due for my master's, we're going to do some little local mini episodes. Yes. Anyway,
We have to thank our patrons.
patrons, that's what we're doing. Patrons, thank you. Thank you to Bittern by the Bug, maker of Japanese textiles.
You can find them on Etsy.
Yes. Who else?
A. Francis, the author of the Brightside comic.
Author and illustrator, yeah.
Yeah, author and illustrator for The Brightside comic, which you can find if you just search the Brightside comic on Google.
Yeah. Google it. And also our regular listeners, Sian, Cyndal, and Maia.
Yeah,
Thank you. I also have a bit of a promo going at the moment, which applies to our existing patrons over on Patreon, but anyone who signs up this month, being the month of April, will get a free 2019 limited edition logo sticker sent out to them as well. So that can be all yours for as little as $1.11 per month.
Why specifically $1.11?
I don't know. It just felt weird putting in $1. So our tiers on Patreon, I'd start at $1.11, so 111.
Yeah.
Then it's $3.33.
And then it's 666.
Of course, I wanted 666 in there, and then there's a $9.99 as well.
Oh my god. Anyway.
So different tiers, different benefits, but everyone for April can get a sticker. So sign up.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
Give us money so the cats don't eat us.
Yeah.
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 All right. Topic.
Okay, so I have
before we go off to our comedy show.
articles to read. The first one's a bit short.
Okay.
So the first one is Radium Girls.
They were from... Okay,
Yeah, let me go on.
They fascinate me.
The Radium Girls were female factory workers who contracted radiation poisoning from painting watch dials with self-luminous paint.
I love reading about that.
Painting was done by women at 3 different sites in the US, and the term now applies to the women working at the facilities. The first...
Why were they women?
Women did those jobs.
Okay.
That's just a societal thing.
Well,
Because
it was
there's-
like finicky and
Yes,
attention to
yeah,
detail
small
and-
hands, finicky,
yeah.
cheap labour.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
What? Yeah?
Let me continue.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm excited about that.
I know. The first United States radium factory in Orange, New Jersey, beginning around 1917. A facility in Ottawa, Illinois, beginning at the early 1920s, and a third facility in Waterboro, Connecticut. The women in each facility had been told the paint was harmless. And
But how
subsequently...
did they know it was harmless?
and subsequently ingested to deadly amounts of radium after being instructed to point their brushes on their lips in order to give them a fine point. So what that means is they would lick the brushes to make the point on the brushes pointy as possible.
And that's what painters generally do.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like if they used lead paint, which they did back in the day, people would die. Because
Eventually get...
and it reminds me of like there's some sort of famous scientist who used to lick the ends of his pencils, and he died because of lead poisoning.
Yeah.
It's like wasn't Edison or something, was it?
I could only hope.
He was a dick. Okay,
So we're talking about the 20s.
this is 20s, 1917, 20s.
Not the 20s that we're... Do you know next year will be the 20s?
You're going off on tangents. Let me continue. But yes, it is going to be the Roaring 20s next year.
Pardon me, that's exciting.
Also, some painted their fingernails, face, and teeth with the glowing substance. Imagine that. Be like, oh,
Was
look
this
at
for
my
fun?
glow. Yeah, for fun. Like, look at my glowing fingernails. The women were instructed to point their brushes because using rags or a water rinse caused them to waste too much time and too much of the material made from the powdered radium, gum arabic, and water.
Right.
5 of the women in New Jersey challenged their employer in a case over the right of individual workers who contract occupational disease to sue their employers under New Jersey's occupational injuries law, which at the time had a 2-year statute of limitations, but settled out of court in 1928.
Interesting.
5 women in Illinois who were employees of the Radium Dial Company, which was unaffiliated with the United States Radium Corporation, sued their employer under Illinois law, winning damages in 1938.
So they would have got sick reasonably quick.
No.
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 This was a long thing.
Yes. So the thing is, with the tiniest amounts of radium that they're ingesting, it takes a really long time, but it does happen.
Wow.
So I'll go into it. It goes a little bit more into what that was like.
It's pretty fascinating.
In 1917 to 1926, U.S. Radium Corporation, originally called the Radium Luminous Material Corporation, was engaged in the extraction and purification of radium from carnotite ore to produce luminous paints, which were marketed under the brand name Undark.
What?
Undark.
Undark.
Yeah, as in no dark.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I'm still picturing in my head, though, these people just, on their lunch break painting their nails and stuff with this radium.
Yeah, but they were told it was harmless.
I know, but still be like, oh, Bessie, look at my fingernails. They're glowing in the dark.
But you wouldn't know it until you went dancing. We're like, look at my
exactly. And they would have gone out to the old club that night, or
the dance hall.
Yeah, the dance hall, or the
jazz club.
Yeah.
The local speakeasy.
Yeah, or to the cinema, because cinemas were the social thing to go hang out with, and be like, and then the cinema would go dark, and we're actually recording.
Yes.
Yeah. The cinema would go dark, and the movie's about to start, and you'll be like, bling bling. Look at my fingernails.
Okay, let me continue. The ore was mined from the Paradox Valley in Colorado and other undark...
Was it Paradox?
Paradox Valley.
Oh, wow.
Another undark mines in Utah. As a defense contractor, US Radium was a major supplier of radioluminescent watches to the military. Their plant in Orange, New Jersey employed over 100 workers, mainly women, to paint radium-lit watch faces and instruments, misleading them that it was safe. So back then you could buy a watch and its numbers would glow.
Yes, yeah.
So that's what these women are painting, is they're painting the numbers on the watch. So you can think about how small a watch face is.
Yeah.
And then you can think about how small the numbers are on a watch face. And then how small the brush would have to be to get those numbers accurate on a watch face. Like, that's how small they're trying to get their paintbrushes. So they were told, in order to get them that small quickly, to lick them.
Yeah, which is true. That's a point. That's like, it reminds me of like when you're trying to thread,
Thread a needle.
Yeah, is that what's called?
Threading a needle.
And you're trying to get it, and you lick it because it makes it wet and pointy.
Yes.
So and so it goes into the eye of the needle quicker.
Exactly.
Yeah, and easier. So I guess it'd be the same with making your paintbrush, quickly.
Yeah.
Pointy.
Exactly.
And ready to paint really fine points with.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, they would have been so small and so detailed.
Oh yeah. The US Radium Corporation hired approximately 70 women to perform various tasks, including handling radium, while the owners and the scientists familiar with the effects of radium carefully avoided any exposure to it themselves.
Oh, what jerks.
Chemists at the plant use lead screens, masks, and tongs.
Yeah, they're getting these women to sit there, use it how many hours a day, put it in their mouth, and they're not the ones wearing bloody lead aprons and...
Yeah.
Oh man, that makes me so mad. US
Radium had distributed literature to the medical community describing the injurious effects of radium, so the company knew that it was bad for them. In spite of this knowledge, a number of similar deaths had occurred in 1925, including the company's chief chemist, Dr. Edwin E. Lemon, and several female workers. The similar circumstances of their deaths prompted investigations to be undertaken by Dr. Harrison Maitland, county physician of Newark.
Oh, you'd hope so. Good on you, county physician. Go, all these people seem to be dying. Getting sick, and they all work at the same place? We better look into that.
Yeah. An estimated 4,000 workers were hired by corporations in the US and Canada to paint watch faces with radium. At USRC, each of the painters mixed her own paint in small crucibles and then used camel hairbrushes to apply the glowing paint on dials. The then current rate of pay for painting 250 dials a day was about $0.015 per dial.
What is that?
Equivalent to 0.293 in 2018. So 30 cents a dial.
30 cents a dial.
At $250 a day.
I can't math 25 times. Was it?
25 times 250 times 30.
Yeah, so
30 cents a day. $75 a day.
That's not too bad.
Back then it would have been a lot more money, like worth a lot more because inflation and changing stuff.
Really not too bad, but is it really worth the cost of getting that sick? I mean, hopefully this article tells us like the symptoms of radiation
it's going
sickness.
to, don't worry.
Yeah.
The brushes would lose their shape after a few strokes, so the US Radium supervisors.
As they do, even with normal paintbrushes, and whether I know from in my past doing like hobby painting and stuff with little models, because I'm a nerd and I kind of want to get back into that. Is that I would wet it, but I'd usually just use my fingertips to like point it rather than my mouth, because I don't really like the idea of putting
paint in your mouth.
In my mouth, Whereas I used to watch my mother. She used to paint models and stuff too, and delicate items, and she would put it in her mouth. So
encourage their workers to point the brushes with their lips, lip dip paint,
lip dip,
or use their tongues to keep them sharp. Because the true nature of the radium had been kept from them, the Radium girls painted their nails, teeth, and faces for fun.
With the teeth, I forgot about the teeth. Imagine they're in the cinema and go, hey Mary.
With the deadly paint produced at the factory, many of the workers became sick. It is unknown how many died from exposure.
Wow. This kind of gives me, I'd like to like make a movie about
the Radium girls.
Yeah. Or a TV series. It'd be so good.
Okay.
You good?
Yep.
I'll copyright that, by the way. Not your cough. The idea of making a TV series about the Radium girls.
Many of the women later began to suffer from anemia, bone fractures, and necrosis of the jaw in a condition now known as radium jaw.
Shit. It would literally like...
It eats your jaw from the inside out.
Awful.
Yeah, because gotta remember,
of course,
teeth and bones are porous.
Yes.
They're like rocks with lots of holes in them. So it's gonna get inside the bone and then rot you from the inside out.
And slowly. Erode away.
Very slowly.
Wow.
It is thought that the X-ray machines used by the medical investigators may have contributed to some of the sickened workers' ill health by subjecting them to additional radiation.
Yes.
But how else are you going to work out the damage?
Yeah, I know.
Right?
And, even now, like, they tell you that if you're pregnant, you can't get an X-ray, or you got to wear
the vest.
The
wear the vest.
The lead apron and all that kind of stuff. But, that we have now, our X-ray machines have been so...
vastly improved.
Yeah, that's the word, vastly improved, that the amount of radiation you get from having an X-ray isn't that much.
Yeah.
And if for example, if I was alive in the 20s, not these 20s coming up, but the old 20s, the classic 20s, I'd probably be dead with the amount of X-rays I've had to have in my life. Like, I would have suffered so much radiation poisoning. So I'm glad that, it's only been in the last 30 years or so.
Yeah, because
coming up to 40 years that I've had so many X-rays done. I probably have had more exposure to radiation than the regular person.
Well, you've also had multiple CTs as well.
Exactly. So
that's a giant X-ray machine. It takes like 100 or 200, a lot of X-rays at once.
So I probably have been exposed more than the regular person. But imagine if that was me back in the old 20s.
Yeah.
I'd probably be dead.
Yeah, X-ray technology has become a long way in the past 100, 150 years it's been around.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me keep going.
Sorry. You picked a really fascinating one.
Oh, I'm good. I'm glad. I thought it was sciencey. I was like, I don't know if they're going to be interested in this.
Radium poisoning. Yay.
Well, I was going to do the...
Radium poisoning.
Yay. It turned out at least one of the examinations was a ruse.
What?
Was a ruse.
What was a ruse?
One of the examinations. Part of a campaign of disinformation started by the defense contractor. US Radium and other watchdog companies rejected claims that the afflicted workers were suffering from exposure to radium. For some time, doctors, dentists, and researchers complied with their requests from the companies not to release their data. At the urging of the companies, worker deaths were attributed by medical professionals to other causes.
Well, of course.
Syphilis, a notorious sexually transmitted infection at the time, was often cited in attempts to smear the reputations of the women.
You fuckers. That makes me so bloody mad.
She died of syphilis, that raging whore.
Yeah, that is fucking awful. Rather than the fact you literally killed your workers, you fuckhead.
Yeah.
Wow. This so needs to become a TV.
The inventor of the radium dial paint, Dr. Sabin A. von Schocke, died in November 1928.
Oh, what a shame.
Becoming the 16th known victim of poisoning by radium dial paint. He died by the thing that he invented.
Yeah.
He had gotten sick from radium in his hands, not the jaw, but the circumstances of his death helped the Radium girls in court.
Oh, okay.
The Radium Dial Company was established in Ottawa, Illinois in 1922 in the town's former high school. Like the US Radium Corporation, the purpose of the studio in Ottawa was to paint dials for clocks, their largest client being West Clock Corporation in Peoria, Illinois. Dials painted in Ottawa appeared on West Clock's popular Big Ben, Little Ben, and travel clocks, and like the US Radium Corporation, Radium Dial hired young women to paint the dials using the same lip-dip paint approach as the women in New Jersey, and by another unaffiliated plant in Waterbury, Connecticut, that supplied the Waterbury Clock Company. Following the termination of President Joseph Kelly from the concern, Kelly established a competing firm in the town named Luminous Process Company, which also employed women in the same fashion and in conditions as the other firms. Employees at Radium Dial began showing signs of radium poisoning in 1926 to 27 and were unaware of the hearings and trials in New Jersey.
Oh, wow.
Furthermore, Radium Dial leadership authorized physicals and other tests designed to determine the toxicity of its employees, but the company never turned those records to the employees or told them of the results.
It's awful.
In a half-hearted attempt to end the use of camel hair brushes, management introduced glass pens with a fine point. However, the workers found that the pens slowed down their productivity, and they were paid by the piece.
What?
They were paid by the piece.
Oh, what?
And they reverted to using the brushes. So in other words, they gave them another option.
Right.
The other option was meaning they were getting less money, so they went back to the original option.
But they didn't know about the...
They didn't know. When the word of the New Jersey women and their suits appeared in local news, the women were told that the radium was safe and that the employees in New Jersey were showing signs of viral infections.
Oh, okay.
Assured by their employers that the radium was safe, they returned to work as usual. Its significance is the next title, so litigation.
Okay.
In New Jersey, the story of the abuse perpetrated against the workers is distinguished from most such cases by the fact that the ensuing litigation was widely covered by the media. Plant worker Grace Fryer decided to sue, but it took 2 years for her to find a lawyer willing to take on US Radium. Even after the women found a lawyer, the slow-moving courts held out for months. At their first appearance in court in January 1928, 2 women were bedridden, and none of them could raise their hands to take an oath. A total of 5 factory workers, Grace Fryer, Edna Hussman, Catherine Schaub, and their sisters Quinta McDonald and Albina Larice, dubbed the Radium Girls, joined the suit. The litigation and media sensation surrounding the case established legal precedents and triggered the enactment of regulations governing labour safety standards, including a baseline of probable suffering. Which I assume means like how likely you're going to suffer based on your work.
Yeah.
In Illinois, employees began asking for compensation for their medical and dental bills as early as 1927, but were refused by management.
Imagine the dental damage.
Yeah, their teeth fell out.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there. I can look at Radium Jaw as well. Yeah, the demand for money...
But would Radium Jaw be like holes and stuff?
Yeah. It's necrosis. That's what that means. Necrosis means death of tissue.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So like gums and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
The demand for money by sick and dying former employees continued into the mid-1930s before a suit before the Illinois Industrial Commission was brought. In 1937, 5 women found an attorney by the name of Leonard Grossman. That name sounds familiar. That would represent them in front of the commission, but by this time, Radium Dial had closed, moving to New York. The IIC did retain a $10,000 deposit left by Radium Dial when it disclosed to the IIC, but they could not find any insurance to cover the cost of indemnifying the company against employee suits. In the spring of 1938, the IIC ruled in favour of the women. The attorney representing the interests of Radium Dial appealed, hoping to get the verdict overturned, and again the commission judge found for the women. Radium Dial appealed over and over, taking the case all the way to the Supreme Court.
Bastards.
And on October 23rd, 1939, the court decided not to hear the appeal, and the Lowing ruling was upheld. In the end, this case had been won 8 times before Radium Dial was finally forced to pay.
Oh my God.
8 times? Just fucking pay.
You know what? And if it had been like mostly men who were affected and died,
they would have paid.
They would have paid out, way sooner. But they're pretty much just like, oh, women hysteria, blah blah blah.
Just tell them all they all have syphilis.
Yeah, God.
The Radium Girls saga holds an important place in the history of both the field of health physics and the labour rights movement. The right of individual workers to sue for damages from corporations due to labour abuse was established as a result of the Radium Girls case. In the wake of the case, industrial safety standards were demonstrably enhanced for many decades. The case was settled in the autumn of 1928 before the trial was deliberated by the jury, and the settlement for each Radium Girl was $10,000, equivalent to $146,000 in 2018.
Okay.
And a $600 per year annuity, plus a $12 a week for all their lives.
Okay.
Equivalent to $8,800 in 2018. While they lived, and all medical and legal expenses incurred would also be paid by the company.
Good.
That's a good settlement.
It is good settlement, but it's still really, what's the cost of that?
Yeah. A lot of them
die so early.
Yeah.
That's awful.
The lawsuit and resulting publicity was a factor in the establishment of occupational disease labour law. Radium dial painters were instructed in proper safety precautions and provided with protective gear. Good. In particular, they no longer shaped paintbrushes by lip and avoided ingesting or breathing the paint. The radium paint was still used in dials as late as the 1960s. But
at least they would have, taken precautions and known it was bloody hazardous.
Yeah, they should have taken the precautions from the get-go.
Of course, but that would have cost the companies money. But how dare they have to provide masks and...
But it cost them money in the end anyway.
But they still got away with it for, nearly 20 years?
Yeah. Scientific impact. Robley D. Evans made the first measurements of exhaled radon and radium excretion from a former dial painter in 1933. Like, they may be able to measure how much radium they were exhaling. How much fucking radium were they ingesting?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what the hell?
That's awful.
At MIT, he gathered dependable body content measures from 27 dial painters.
Wow.
This information was used in 1941 by the National Bureau of Standards to establish the tolerance level.
And again, that's still, the radium... girls were doing this in the 20s, early 20s, the start of the 20s. That's still more than 20 years later that they're actually
still doing it.
Doing it and still able to test the levels as well. That's awful.
But at the same time, the fact that these people had that much radium in their system that it was detectable from their breath.
Oh, because you can imagine after every little brush stroke, they're probably dipping it in their mouth.
But that's the thing. It's gonna wash into their bloodstream pretty quickly because the bloodstream's pretty quick. That's what I mean.
They have every dial. You got at least 12 markers, right? So you paint dip every time, dipping it into your mouth. That's a lot.
My point is that they must have so much radium in their blood that it comes out in their breath.
Of course. And imagine you're one of those workers doing that every day for 15 years or whatever. You're bloody...
For a decent wage, you wouldn't give up $75 a day.
No, of course not. You would do it. And the sad thing is that these had these women known it was hazardous, they probably still would have done it.
Yeah. But at least they would have been told.
Well, it's about at least knowing what you're putting into your body as well.
Yeah. The Centre for Human Radiobiology was established at the Argonne National Laboratory in 1968. The primary purpose of the centre was providing medical examinations for living dial painters. The project also focused on collection of information and, in some cases, tissue samples.
Did you say tissue?
Tissue samples from the radium dial painters. Shush!
Tissue.
When the project ended in 1993, detailed information of 2,403 cases had been collected. This led to a book on the effect of radium on humans. The book suggested that radium-222 exposure is more harmful to health than the exposure of radium-226.
What?
So, pretty much all radioactive substances, pretty much all substances, elements, have different isotopes.
Yeah, okay.
So if you've heard the term isotope, it basically just means...
I've heard that on The Simpsons.
It basically just means two different kind of element. So there's uranium-92 and there's another kind of uranium as well. So basically, quick chemistry lesson. The center of every nucleus of an atom has neutrons and protons, right? The amount of protons determine what element it is. So, I can't remember, like, helium will always have 2 protons no matter what.
Okay.
Right? But, however, the amount of neutrons inside a nucleus of an atom can change.
Okay.
And that's where you get the different isotopes. So, radium always has, say, I don't know actually how many it has, but say radium always has 50 protons and sometimes have, I don't know what the actual number is.
You don't know
Let's
what
say
radium
it's
is.
50.
I don't know.
Sometimes it has 48 neutrons, sometimes it has 46. Like,
Shouldn't you look up what number?
I can, but my point is that that's what an isotope is.
Okay.
There's a different, same element, different number of neutrons.
The Isotopes were a baseball team on The Simpsons.
Yes, they were. Radium-228, 228, is more able to cause cancer of the bone as the shorter half-life of the product compared to a different product causes the daughter nucleotides too much chemistry. Basically, this one's more radioactive than the other one.
Okay. Yeah.
This one breaks down faster.
Yeah. Meaning it's bad.
It's bad, yeah.
This one bad. This one
Delivers
less
a
bad.
greater dose of alpha radiation to the bones than the other one.
So this one bad. This one less bad.
Less bad. Still
Slightly.
bad, less bad.
Yeah.
It also considers the induction of a range of different forms of cancer as a result of internal exposure to radium and its daughter nucleotides. The book used data from radium dial painters, people who were exposed as a result of the use of radium-containing medical products, and other groups of people who have been exposed to radium. There's lots of books.
Is it?
There's lots of books.
Oh,
so
tell me.
in literature, music, and film.
Well, yeah, that's the part I'm waiting for.
I love how you love this part. This is the part I usually skip.
No, I like knowing the pop culture references and where they come up and yeah. Hello, I'm in the arts, like literature, music and film, yes.
The story is told from the point of view of the women in New Jersey and Illinois in Kate Moore's non-fiction book, The Radium Girls,
you thought there was a book.
which was released in the UK in 2016 and the US in May 2017.
Has it been adapted yet? I want to do an adaptation of it.
The story is told in Eleanor Swanson's poem Radium Girls, collected in A Thousand Bonds, Mary Curie and the Discovery of Radium,
Yeah.
which is a book.
Didn't Mary Curie die of
Yeah,
radium
she
poisoning?
died of radium poisoning.
Oh.
She was also the only person to get a Nobel Prize in 2 different fields, I think. I could be spitting shit, but I think
Someone did.
I think she's the only person who's been given a Nobel Prize in 2 different fields.
Someone did.
She definitely got it for physics, and I'm pretty sure she got it for chemistry as well.
Okay, wow.
I could be getting all that wrong, but I don't care.
Let's just go with that for now.
Yeah. There is an elaborate reference to the story in Kurt Vonnegut novel Jailbird.
What year's Jailbird? What year is it? No, it says in the...
1979.
Yeah, I'm just going to see it because...
Yeah. Poet Lavinia Greenlaw has written on the subject in The Innocence of Radium, 1994. Historian Claudia Clark wrote an account of the case and its wider historical implications, Radium Girls, Women and Industrial Health Reform, from 1910 to 1935, published in 1997.
It took that long to get published.
Yeah, but it wasn't written back then.
Right.
Yeah,
I thought you meant
the book.
it was,
The
right.
book was telling it between the times of
Right, it's
1910
based
to
on-
1935.
Okay, but it was written a lot later.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Ross Molnar's book Deadly Glow, The Radium Dial Worker
Deadly
Tragedy,
Glow.
describes many of the events, published in 1999.
That was a book as well.
Yep, the story is told by Joe Lawrence in her short animated film Glow, 2007.
Short animated film. I'm going to have to look that one up.
The Michael A. Martone short story, It's Time, is told from the perspective of an unnamed radium girl.
Oh.
The fictionalized version of the story was featured in the Spike TV show 1,000 Ways to Die, number 196.
Yes.
And the Science Channel's Dark Matters, Twisted But True.
Yep. We've watched 1,000
We
Ways to
have,
Die.
and it's fucking hilarious.
Wow. I do remember the dipping thing though.
Yeah,
Now that
the ones that stuck in my head are the one where the person got killed by a... Oh, fuck, what are they called? When you put pressure cooker. and like the little valve from the pressure cooker like stabbed her in the back of the head or something.
The one I remember is the guy that was thought he parked his ute or something 4-wheel drive on the beach.
Yes,
remember, and he got cold. So he's like, oh, I'm going to sleep under my car.
Yeah, and then the tide came in.
And he literally, not only did he drown, it's not known if he drowned first, if he was crushed by the vehicle.
Vehicle sinking into the sand.
Yeah, imagine being crushed between the sand and your vehicle.
That just makes me want, oh, stop it! The other one that gets me is the one where there's a couple in like Sweden and they built their own sauna and then they got locked inside the sauna.
And they literally steamed themselves to death.
Well, the husband did. He had a heart attack inside the steam room, the sauna, but I think the woman got out. I think someone heard her and she got out, but he died.
Yeah, but it didn't literally steam, like you could peel his flesh off his bones
like
and
that.
stuff.
I don't know.
Roast chicken.
Okay, Radium Halos, a novel about the Radium dial painters, a 2009 novel by Shelley Stout.
Wow, it's quite recent.
Yeah, is a historical fiction narrated by a 65-year-old mental patient who worked on the factory when she was 16.
Wow, that's such a great idea for historical fiction.
Yeah. Author Deborah Bloom referenced the story in her 2010 book, The Poisoner's Handbook, Murder and the Birth of Forensic Medicine in Jazz New Age, New York. The story is told in the American Experience episode The Poisoner's Handbook, based on Deborah Bloom's book. Author Robert R. Johnson features a story on the Radium Girls in his book Romancing the Atom. The Case of the Living Dead Women, a website displaying scans of all 180 pages of newspaper clippings about a similar incident, the Ottawa, Illinois Radium Dial Company litigation.
Oh, wow.
So you can actually find all the pages of newspaper articles.
That's amazing.
A fictionalized version of the story was featured in the 1937 short story Letter to the Editor by James H. Street, adapted into a 1937 film, Nothing Sacred, and a 1953 Broadway musical, Hazel Flag.
Wow, so it was adapted into a film back in the 30s.
Yes.
Wow.
The documentary Radium City depicts first-hand accounts of some of the watch-style painters.
Wow.
A version of the story for young adult readership is told in the novel Glow by Megan E. Bryant. A play was written on the perspective of one of the women who sued in New Jersey, titled Radium Girls. A play named These Shining Lives was written by Melanie Marknick and Dramatists Play Service Incorporated and is narrated by Catherine Donahue, one of the 4 protagonist workers who was sued in Illinois. Larissa Andrushen's poem, The Radium Girls, published in Carte Blanche, imagines the women speaking through a collective post-mortem voice.
Oh, wow.
Brooke Bolander references the story in her 2018 novel, The Only Harmless Great Thing.
So that's really, recent as well.
The Orb Weavers' song Radium Girls off their album Deep tells the story of the Radium Girls. So there's
no
a
real
lot.
recent adaptation though, in terms of film.
No recent film adaptations. No.
I feel there needs to be a TV series.
Yeah.
What was that TV series that was similar to?
About
Probably
what?
Not similar.
About what?
Wasn't there one that we used to watch about women who worked like what your grandmother did, like
Telecom. Oh, yes, it was some Brazilian series. I can't remember what it was called, but it was a Brazilian series. One of them was a spy or something.
Yeah,
she got caught doing something, and then she's like, actually, no, you have to be a spy in Brazil. And they lived in like the.
What was that called?
I can't remember what it was called.
Was
it was interesting.
Girls as well.
It was Call Girls. No, that sounds. That's
no, not Call Girls.
Let me look it up.
It wasn't. Don't look that up. It wasn't Call Girls.
It's called Cable Girls.
Cable.
And it wasn't about Brazil. It was in Madrid.
Right.
Yeah, Cable Girls. In 1920s Madrid, 4 women at the national telephone company ring in a revolution, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a television series about the Radium Girls.
Well, unfortunately, I think the biggest part of their story is a legal one.
And it would, I can picture it in my mind already, because, I think visually, and I can picture it being like a courtroom kind of drama thing. Yeah,
it's got to be, because, obviously there's going to be like a medical part of it, and be like a dramatised medical part. But at the same time, most of their story is legal.
Oh, yeah, of course. It would happen afterwards. And I imagine it being told in flashbacks, too. Yeah. Oh, it'd be great. My idea, no one's taken it.
Okay, so Next article. Radium jaw is an occupational disease brought on by the ingestion. I hate that word.
Ingestion.
Ingestion. I can't do it without having spit in my mouth. Ingestion. And subsequent absorption of radium into the bones of radium dial painters and those consuming radium-laden patent medicines.
Oh, so were there medicines that used to have
Apparently.
radium? Ooh.
Yes. Oh, because back then they thought radium was like this all cure,
Like our coconut oil?
even like they used to do like
Just take some radium.
radium bars and radium tablets and stuff. Be like, yeah, so I'm just gonna have some radium because it's gonna fix all my problems.
Right.
Yeah.
So it is literally like the coconut oil
I
of now.
think so. I think that's what they did.
To be like, you gotta be dry skin, just put some coconut oil.
Yeah.
Back then would be, you gotta be dry skin, just put some radium
on it.
Have a
Yeah.
radium bath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The symptoms are necrosis of the mandible, the lower jaw, and the maxilla, the upper jaw.
Yes.
Constant bleeding of the gums, and usually after some time, severe distortion due to bone tumours and porosity of the lower jaw.
So yeah, more holes.
The condition is similar to phossy jaw, P-H-O-S-S-Y, an osteoporotic and osteonecrotic disease of match girls, brought on by phosphorus ingestion and absorption. The first written reference to the disease was by dentist Dr. Theodore Bloom in 1924, who described an unusual mandibular osteomyelitis in a dial painter, naming it radium jaw.
Wow. So osteomyelitis meaning bone infection, right?
Bone cancer. Is it myelitis cancer? Let me look it up. Osteomyelitis, no, infection.
Yes.
Bone infection.
And I only know that because I've been in hospital not long after I broke my leg and had it fixed. Or maybe it was after I had it fixed the second time and had some parts taken out. They were suspected that I had osteomyelitis and I had to stay in hospital a few days while they monitored like the rash and trying to decide if they'd need to open me back up again and stuff.
Yeah.
Bone infection.
The disease was determined by pathologist Dr. H.S. Martland in 1924 to be symptomatic of radium paint ingestion after many female workers from various radium paint companies reported similar dental and mandibular pain. Symptoms were present in the mouth due to the use of the lips and the tongue to keep the radium paint brushes properly shaped, blah, blah.
Which we know.
Another prominent example of this condition was the death of an American golfer and industrialist Eben Byers in 1932 after taking large doses of Radithor, Radithor.
Like Radithor.
Yeah.
Okay.
A radioactive patent medicine containing radium over several years.
What's Radithor do?
I don't know, look it up. His illness garnered much publicity and brought the problem of radioactive quack medicine into the public eye. The Wall Street Journal ran a story in 1989 or after titled "The Radium Water Worked Fine Until His Jaw Came Off."
Great.
So Radithor.
Oh wow, look at that picture. What's the links to all these articles that you're reading from?
Yeah.
On our
Was a patent medicine that is well-known example of radioactive quackery and specifically of excessively broad and pseudoscientific application of the principle of radiation hormesis.
I know how much you like pseudoscience. Woo.
Yeah, such woo. Such woo. And that's the thing, is that the woo so whenever I look at like pseudoscience and people saying that things are going to help them, we either say it's woo or not woo. So for those of you who have spoken to me about this, so for example, people go, is coconut oil woo or not woo? And most of the time we'll say it's woo for treating things like migraines and shit, but and cancer. But if you're going to use it for moisturizing, not woo. Like it totally isn't moisturizer.
Yeah, it's a great moisturizer.
It's an oil, like all oils
when people start saying, "Oh, just drink a cup of it,"
yeah, or like I don't understand oil pulling. I don't get it. I don't think it works. But anyway,
isn't that just for your gums?
Yeah, but it's meant to pull all the shit out of your mouth.
It just cleans your gums.
Yeah, but people go, it helps all your dental health. I'm like, no, brush your teeth.
Yeah. Nothing like a good brushing and flossing.
Yeah, and also
don't forget to floss and mouthwash, people. That is the key.
And the biggest one I'm seeing so much of lately is essential oils. Like I remember, like essential oils is going to treat your depression and anxiety. It's like, No!
It doesn't treat it. I mean,
That's what they're saying. They're saying it's gonna treat your depression and anxiety. Or like,
it's like how much shit I read for, like, you know, sometimes when people sometimes I'll as someone who's chronically ill and has bowel disease, specifically Crohn's disease, you'll be surprised at how many people randomly message me who I might have on social media who don't even talk to me hardly, you know, definitely go follow up on all my appointments and all that crap and see how my treatment's going, but will randomly message me with an article like, blah, 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 fixes, blah, blah. I'm like, no, thank you for thinking of me, but no. Drinking a cup of coconut oil and apple cider a day is not going to cure my bowel disease.
Gross.
Just as an example.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so woo or not woo. Like, another good example is chiropractic. Because people are saying that, chiropractic is going to...
Is that a word?
Chiropractic? People who go to a chiropractor, right?
Chiropractic? Yeah.
People who go to a chiropractor, and chiropractors like to say that it's going to cure all your migraines and relieve your mental health and help with your heart disease and relieve your blood pressure and all that sort of crap. That's woo. But in terms of, like, I believe, in terms of a chiropractor helping with things like bone alignment, that's what they're supposed to do. So that kind of means it's not woo, but at the same time, like, seeing people do it to tiny little babies, no.
Yeah.
Their bones are fucking fragile and, what's it called? Malleable.
Yeah, true.
Like, do not.
They're soft, like sponges.
They are, because they have not had the time to harden yet. Do not.
Yeah, do not.
Do not.
Do not touch.
Okay.
Like, I get it in the case of their bones being legitimately out of alignment and stuff, but when it's like to help with teething, and
it's like it's baby's teeth. It's a natural cause of events.
It's
and it makes
to go through it,
and it makes me wonder, like, what sort of treatments and things we do in our daily lives that we deem normal or safe, that we find out 50 years later are not. So
you know what one of them is? What? Instant coffee, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. That shit will rot your guts. And maybe that's why I have bowel disease.
You had so much instant coffee.
I was literally raised on instant coffee. Like
fucking log families.
Yes, you're talking about a generation of, like, firstborn Australians from Europe being like, holy shit, you just add water to this stuff and you get coffee. And, like, children, drink all the coffee because this is amazing, which is true, right?
It is pretty good feat of engineering.
Well, and, like, growing up quite a while ago, like, being a child of the 80s and literally being like, my dad and my auntie and even my grandparents being like, have coffee, yum, type of thing. And look, you just put a teaspoon in the cup and add water and milk and voila, you've got coffee, which costs so much money at the shops. Why would you buy it? That shit is probably why I've got bowel disease. It's probably why my dad has some kind of undiagnosed bowel disease now as well. Like, I reckon instant coffee, it's the devil. No, but needless to say, I have not touched instant coffee in a long time. You know, we grind our own beans and stuff. But I'm telling you, 10 years time, there's going to be some discovery about all this damage that instant coffee has caused. That and probably Coca-Cola.
Oh, yeah. So thinking
that
about...
shit can clean rust. Like, surely we shouldn't be drinking it.
But thinking about, like, things that we have seen in the past, lead paint is a good example.
Oh, yeah. Like, I was still using lead paint when I was a kid and drinking instant coffee.
Unleaded petrol. I didn't know that, like, I knew the term...
My first car had lead petrol.
See, it took me a long time to realise what it meant by unleaded petrol.
Right,
like, I just thought it was called unleaded petrol.
I didn't think lead petrol.
No, because I didn't realise there was such a thing as lead petrol.
That didn't even occur to me.
Like, I didn't know what lead petrol was.
My first car was lead petrol.
Yeah.
In fact, when Australia first got rid of lead petrol, I was still driving an old Volkswagen Beetle.
Yeah.
Right. A 70s model, early 70s model. When they first got rid of lead petrol, I had to buy this stuff from, like, the auto shop.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it now, but pretty much every time I filled up with unleaded petrol, I had to add, like, this, it's probably like a 90, 100ml bottle of this additive to my tank.
Yeah.
So that my engine... Oh, there's a cat down there. Looks like Claudia, but it's not.
Kitty.
Gonna come
the door
with
will
us?
open, just wait.
No, it's been closing again.
Squeeze through the door. Okay, bye. Anyway, you have to put this
to put this additive into my petrol tank just so my my engine could hopefully process and use the unleaded petrol.
Yeah.
Because it needed lead to run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. I watched this series that Neil deGrasse Tyson actually narrates, and it talks about science in general, and the first few episodes about like how people figured out that the sun was the center of the universe, and how people figured out that the earth was round. But one of the later episodes was about the guy who worked out why there was so many issues with lead.
Okay.
So back in the day, they were trying to work out why. Hang on, let me think.
Back in what day?
This is like the 60s or the 50s in the States.
Yeah.
So they were trying to work out why this guy was doing these experiments on lead, and he was going on about like he was finding out more information, and he figured out that the surface of the ocean had more lead than the bottom of the ocean. And they were trying to work out why.
It floats?
No, because there's so much lead in the atmosphere from all the petrol being burnt, right? And so what was happening is it was getting absorbed by the clouds and shit, being rained on into the ocean, but it hasn't been there long enough for it to disperse naturally throughout the entire ocean. So it hadn't been dispersed down and around, it only sat on the top, because it hasn't been there long enough for it to disperse throughout the rest of the ocean, right? And so this guy went into these huge court cases with the petroleum companies, because he's basically saying you're polluting the fucking earth and you're killing people because there's so much fucking lead in the atmosphere that it's causing the ocean to do this. Yeah. And they had
that was back in the 60s.
Yeah.
That shows how fucking slow, especially Australia is at banning like stuff that is killing the earth.
Yeah, it's either the 60s or the 70s.
Yeah, but it's still either way, it still doesn't surprise me, because Australia's one of the last countries to get on board with this stuff. Like, I remember when CFCs were banned from like products.
Like fridges.
Yes, we had CFC fridges, air conditioning. Hairspray had CFCs in it, right?
Yeah.
And I remember still being alive, like I was a kid when there were still CFCs, and other countries had banned them back in the 80s. Australia didn't ban CFCs till late 90s, I believe, some point in the 90s, if that. I mean, it could have been even the early thousands, but it's still really bloody recent, and a long while after the research has been done. And I guess what you're saying with the lead in petrol, in fuel, is the same thing. Like, if regardless if the study was done back in the 60s or the 70s, Australia didn't get rid of leaded fuel until the early thousands. Yeah. I remember because I still had my Beetle, I was still driving.
Really?
Yes.
I do not remember ever being leaded petrol, but I was 6 in the early thousands.
Exactly. So why would you know about petrol?
But I don't even remember seeing the signs. I just remember there always being, whenever I went to the petrol station, I just remember always seeing the word unleaded. I never ever.
There was leaded as well.
I never ever remember seeing the word leaded. Yeah. Ever. So that's really weird.
No, it just used to say lead.
Lead.
Not leaded.
Lead.
It was lead and unleaded. And I remember lead being associated with the colour red. Yeah. Like, that was the red pumps. And unleaded being the green or the yellow.
I remember red pumps.
Yeah, that was lead.
Oh. Because you don't see red pumps very often anymore.
No, well, not at all.
Yeah, I remember red pumps.
Yeah, they were the lead ones.
Ah.
And I'm trying to remember price difference as well.
Back then the fuel would have been about below $1 a litre.
Oh, I'm remembering 60 cents.
Oh my god.
Like 68 cents, but I'm just
We just paid 160 cents.
Oh, I know. I'm just trying to remember in my head if lead was more expensive than unleaded. It might have been. I have a vague memory from when I first got my licence. It would have been the year 2000, and I had a Beetle, an old 70 Beetle. And I vaguely remember, I can picture in my head when I close my eyes, I can vaguely remember lead, the red one, being like 68 cents, and then unleaded, the green or yellow one, depending on which petrol station you went to, being like 64 cents, so being like a 4-cent difference between lead and unleaded. And I think the lead cost more, and I remember at the time like complaining to my dad, I can't believe lead petrol costs more. If I had a newer car, I could spend less. And he's like, it's just 4 cents a litre. Yeah. I could spend less putting it in, into my car. But Yeah, and then Australia finally got rid of lead petrol. So it's, yeah, like I said, I had to use the unleaded, but then buy that additive to go in my car. And I'm pretty sure I was still putting the additive in there up until I sold that car.
Yeah.
I think
Can you still get the additive?
I don't know. I think so, but I think
It's probably very expensive.
I think you also had to like get your car converted. I think you had to get something retrofitted to your engine so that it could safely process the unleaded fuel, not stuff up your tank, stuff up your engine.
So,
but don't quote me on that.
So going back to radioactive quackery. So talking about the whole like things that we thought were safe back in the day, and now we realise 50 years later, holy shit, that was really wrong, and we shouldn't do that.
This is how we got on that tangent.
Like for fucking painting baby cots with lead paint. What the fuck?
I had a lead painted baby cot.
How have you not got your teeth falling out of your head?
Well, I do. That's because I'm on chemo medicine though.
Yeah.
So
but how do you not have lead poisoning?
I don't know. Maybe I do.
Who
Maybe
knows?
That's what caused my bowel disease.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a yellow painted lead cot.
Ugh.
And we had lead painted fence.
Oh my God.
Lead paint was everywhere.
Is it because lead paint is brighter?
It lasted longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
And it was cheaper, I think. It just lasted longer.
Radioactive quackery is quackery that improperly promotes radioactivity as a therapy for illness.
Well, they still do, really.
Unlike radiotherapy, which is the scientifically sound use of radiation for the destruction of cells,
is it though?
Usually cancer. Hang on, people get better with radiation though.
Well, some don't.
Some do. Think about our friends who have had cancer and then have had chemo and radiation and have survived.
Yeah, but isn't that the chemo, not the radiation?
Not necessarily. Sometimes you need to have both.
I know that, but how do we know which one is actually...
No, well, there have been cases where people only do one or the other, and the success rate is not as good.
Yeah.
Logically, I know you like to question these
things. I do, because, why? I don't understand anyone who can just go through life not questioning things.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I've always been a questioner, and you need to question these things.
Quackery involving radioactive substances pseudoscientifically promotes radiation as helpful and healing for cells and tissues. It was most popular during the early 20th century after the discovery in 1896 of radioactive decay.
1896 was a very busy year.
Yeah.
That's also the year that Australia... the first feature film.
Yep.
The story of the Kelly Gang. And it was shown in Melbourne at the Athenaeum Theatre in 1896. So there you go.
There we go, tidbit. The practice has widely declined, but is still actively practiced by some.
So people to this day,
are still
where do you get this Radithor? I want some Radithor.
Radithor, a solution of radium salts, which was claimed by its developer William J.A. Bailey.
It reminds me of in Fallout.
You are really terrible tonight. You've been interrupting me left, right, and centre.
Left, right?
Shut up.
Left, right. No, but it reminds you of the rad roaches and Radaway.
Radaway. But Radaway is the opposite of this. It's take away the radiation, not add the radiation.
That's true.
Anyway, let's go on. Let me go on. You're interrupting me so much tonight. You're really excited.
Yes. I'm trying to stay awake. So we have a comedy show to go to. And
shush, let me finish the article and we go to the comedy show.
Too much caffeine today.
Its developer, William J.A. Bailey, to have curative properties. The industrious Eben Byers died. Blah, 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 blah. Many brands of toothpaste were laced with radioactive substances that were claimed to make teeth shine whiter, such as Doramad radioactive toothpaste.
I want some.
Bath and bathing waters were advertised positively as being highly radioactive and with a curative value.
Is that like Radox?
I don't know what Radox is. Give me a sec.
My mum used to give us Radox baths and lead. And lead paint and painting models.
Revogator pots, which added radon to drinking water. Uranium sand houses, where patients would sit on benches in a round room that had a floor composed of mildly radioactive sand, usually beach sand with crushed minerals like carnotite. These were popular in Utah, New Mexico, and Colorado during the 1950s. lying in a narrow box with sands that reputedly contained iron ore, was promoted as a treatment for arthritis, bursitis, and rheumatism as late as 1956.
So a coffin.
Yes, filled with radioactive radium.
That's amazing.
No, uranium. Uranium. The Nico Clean Tobacco Card was a device exported from Japan to the US in the 1960s, containing a small card impregnated with uranium ore.
Huh.
The card was to be placed inside a packet of cigarettes, and the producers claimed that the radiation emitted from the card would reduce tar and nicotine. What the fuck?
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
Let's just poison people with all the things.
Let's not just give you lung cancer, but also give you radiation
It's not so
poisoning.
much lung cancer, but all the other chemicals that are in there that make smokers really sick and addicted.
Yeah.
It's not just the nicotine that smokers are addicted to, but then, put
Radiation along
in
with
there
that.
to, like, just have all the things. So, if this doesn't kill you, something's going to kill you.
Something's going to kill you. The Toftness device is an instrument used by certain chiropractors. It was invented by Irving N. Toftness. It is a diagnostic tool roughly analogous to a stethoscope, except that it does not touch the patient. The device allegedly detects a specific electromagnetic radiation frequency which emanates from vertebral subluxations or small dislocations. That's ridiculous.
Woo.
That's such woo.
That's woo. Even I know that's
such woo.
You know, I like to question everything.
That's such woo.
And play devil's advocate.
What was that thing you wanted to know about Radox?
Yeah, Radox. So my mum used to, because we did a lot of sports. Well, me and one of my brothers used to do a lot of sports growing up. The little one got a lot of
Radox bars are just Epsom salts
Oh, right.
bars.
That's right.
That's not radium.
Why'd they call it Radox then? Like, because, we'd complain about being achy after doing taekwondo or football or whatever, and she'd be like, oh, go have a Radox bath. And, I'm just wondering, I wouldn't put it past her to put radium in our bath.
They're herbal salt baths.
Right.
So basically just fancy Epsom salts.
Okay, well, that's what we used to have a Radox bath. So it wasn't radium.
No.
Okay.
Well, at least now it's not. I don't know if it was
Radox of the 90s?
The Radox of the 90s. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think they would exist if they had radium in them.
Why was it called Radox then?
Ask Radox. I don't know.
I reckon it was named after it.
So there you go. Radium girls. Radium jaw.
Yeah.
And radioactive quackery.
And Radithor.
And Radithor.
Need some Radaway to get rid of that Radithor. That was awesome.
Well, I did have another article lined up about radiation sickness in general. However, it's a lot longer.
Another episode, maybe.
But it's really radiation poisoning is really interesting.
Yeah.
Because as you get the higher dose, the quicker you die.
Well, yeah. Well.
But it's interesting. It's fascinating because if you go a certain amount above a certain amount of radiation, you die within a minute.
True.
You just violently get sick.
What's the safe amount that you can take slowly over a long time?
Not a lot. I mean, everyone's exposed to radiation all the time because cosmic radiation is a thing.
Really?
Yes, because when the world was created, when the Big Bang happened, basically...
God.
No. When the Big Bang happened, basically all this radiation got spat out everywhere. So it's left over.
Yeah.
Everywhere, right?
Okay.
And the sun emits it too, so we get radiation from the sun, which you actually do know in terms of sunburn.
Yeah. And then you add being accident prone and all that kind of stuff, and getting sick.
Yeah, that's
disease in how many.
But
X-rays
you
and
get
CT scans.
Yeah, you get radiation from the world. Cosmic radiation's a thing. You get radiation from phones. You get radiation from going on a plane. So if you go up on a plane, you're exposed to more cosmic radiation because the clouds aren't protecting you as much because you're above the clouds, right? It's because you're closer to the sun. You get more cosmic radiation. So everyone is exposed to radiation.
But even through the plane.
Yeah,
right.
Even through the plane. So there's 3 different kinds of radiation.
I thought the plane body would protect.
So one kind of radiation can be stopped with something like paper.
Really?
Yeah. I think that's gamma. Another kind of radiation, which is beta, I think can be stopped with skin. It can just reach the top of your body, I think. Right. But then you have alpha. Alpha can go through practically anything. It can go up to except for a lead. Lead is the only thing
the lead apron.
Yes, that lead is the most reliable thing to stop radiation. You can actually look up images about like how far can the radiation go depending on the type of radiation. So
Wow.
there's different types. There's 3 different types.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Blame
But-
Alpha.
But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah. Radiation is interesting and fascinating, and sometimes
It
I like to
is.
creep myself out by reading the articles about like nuclear disasters.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
Those ones are especially creepy, especially when you're talking about how people got sick.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in Fukushima.
Yes.
And not Fukushima, Hiroshima.
yes.
Yeah.
Like the fallout.
Nuclear fallout freaks me out because, like, if you ever think about what would happen right now if we got bombed right at this very second, what would you do? No one would know what to do.
No, we wouldn't. We don't get that training.
No,
anymore.
you don't. I mean, back in
Another
like
cat.
back in like the 50s and 60s, they had like what was that called? But especially in the States, they had like a civil army that was their job, is to tell people what to do if there was going to be a nuclear bomb.
Okay.
They would organize all this stuff.
Yeah, because that was still a threat.
Yeah, well, yeah, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah, debatable.
Yeah. Fear-mongering.
But yeah, what would you do?
Stop, drop, and roll.
No, you would run inside a house. You would run inside a
Stop,
house.
drop, and rolls for fires.
No, stop, drop, and roll, yes, is for fires.
See?
But like the way that they were told is just get under a desk.
Yes, yes.
That's not going to help you.
Why? The desks then were made of lead.
No, they weren't. Yes, they were. They're lead. Hang on, if you're under, just because something is lead paint doesn't mean it's made of lead. That's not enough lead.
Oh, it was. Those things were school desks were
But
fucking coated in
underneath
lead.
the desk, what about the radiation coming from the side?
No, because there were more desks.
But no, because then you have to go through the
Duck
wall.
and cover.
Duck and cover.
Yeah,
that doesn't work.
It does work.
Okay, fine. You go into a bomb and try and
Go into a bomb.
Go into
Yeah,
a
I'll
place.
get into a fucking bomb.
No, go into a place and get bombed underneath a desk.
Only
and
if I have a lead desk.
and then tell me if you survive.
Only if it's covered in lead.
Yeah.
And I have my lead cot from my childhood.
What? You're ridiculous. It kind of reminds me of that particular
You're going on
Indiana Jones movie where he jumps inside a fridge.
What? He never jumps inside a
Someone
fridge.
jumped inside a fridge when he was stuck on a nuclear test site. They were testing a nuclear bomb. He went, oh shit, got into a fridge because the fridge was lined with lead.
That was
and
never
survived.
Indiana Jones.
I swear it was Indiana Jones.
I swear it was not. If you know the answer to this,
Yes. Tell me, was that
tell us.
Indiana Jones? Or am I
swear
thinking
it was
about
not.
a different
I used
movie?
to be obsessed with watching Indiana Jones films
It was
like
one
every
of the
weekend.
newest ones. Like one of the ones that I managed to go see in the movie theaters.
There was like one that came out in your lifetime.
Maybe it wasn't Indiana Jones. Tell me what movie I'm thinking of where he gets like stuck on a nuclear test site and so he jumps inside a fridge because the fridge is lined with lead. Might not be Indiana Jones.
I'm pretty sure
think
it was
you're
not
right.
Indiana Jones.
But I don't know what it was.
All right,
Tell me.
We'll figure that out. Yeah. Thank you.
That's okay.
That was a fun episode.
Oh good, I'm glad.
Yeah, I really want to make it into a TV series.
About the Radium girls.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Like, yeah, basically a courtroom drama, but yeah,
Yeah.
told in like the medical stuff.
Yeah.
Told in flashbacks and the workers stuff and medical stuff told in flashbacks.
Yeah.
I think it'd be great.
Yeah. Cool.
Sad for the
Sad.
workers,
But yeah, radiation and everything that it entails is fascinating.
it sure is.
I think-
Perhaps we can do an episode on radiation sickness
Yes.
later this year or next year. Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be cool. So stay tuned for some small projects
Yeah.
coming out soon. Some fun stuff.
Comment on our stuff.
Yes, please comment on our stuff and please leave us a rating. It's the only way word is going to get out about our podcast besides
Yeah.
you telling people to listen to it. Actually, just you don't have to write anything. Just tap those 5 stars, or even settle for 4.
Any stars. Just give me a
Even
star.
a bloody one, whatever.
I don't care. Just give me a star.
Just rate us. We could maybe be the worst podcast ever. Just give us stars because it needs more than 3 people liking it to appear in the recommended podcasts on all the platforms, whether it's Spotify, Podbean, Podchaser, Apple Podcasts, all the pods. Give us a like, comment. We have an Instagram page now. We have a Twitter that I forget to post to. We have Facebook. Yeah, comment
Just
and rate us, please.
Rate us.
And
We've been doing this for a year now.
yeah, a bit over a year.
Yeah. We'd like to see
Happy
some...
anniversary.
Yeah, happy anniversary. We'd like to see some more listeners.
No, not yeah. Well, more listens, more interaction from our listeners. I know you are listening to us all far away from Australia. Talk to us. We like talking to people.
We might even read out some comments if
let's do that.
Yeah, we'll read out some comments if they're fun.
Yes. All right, we better go.
Okay.
What were we going to say?
I was going to say, I just hear people say, I listen to your podcast. I'm like, I don't know you're listening to my podcast.
Say something. Yes.
Tell me, like, even if our episode sucked or something. I don't care. I just want to know if you listen to our listen to our podcast.
I even posted, I tried to teach, I feel like an old person playing with Instagram. Like, I tried to do a story thing yesterday and post a poll and ask people, what would you like to hear about on our podcast? And I posted a poll where I was like, would you like more science stuff, yes or no? Would you like more true crime stuff, yes or no? I don't think anyone's replied.
No.
I replied to it from my personal account just to see if it worked. No one's replied.
Oh.
No one's answered the question, what topic? Suggest a topic. I'm giving people a free suggestion here.
Just suggest something, because I run out of ideas sometimes.
Frank needs the ideas. I, on the other hand, have many bookmarks in my dark and creepy folder.
I just forget what to look up, because I've looked up dark and creepy things before and I've gone...
I just come across stuff and I just bookmark it for later.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's me.
But we'll leave it there.
Leave it there.
Yeah.
Yes, we better get to this late night comedy.
Thank you for listening.
Radium.
Radium.
Don't trust the alpha.
Don't do the radioactive quackery.
And duck and cover.
Yeah. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.